We need to talk about the portrayal of Thrawn and his troops in the new Ahsoka series. When it was announced a few years ago that Thrawn was being reintegrated into the Star Wars canon, there were high hopes for the character. Grand Admiral Thrawn, who gained great popularity in the fan community through the books by Timothy Zahn, has a lasting appeal among many fans with his aloof, cool, and calculating manner, but also his nuanced view of the rebellion, the Empire, and his own men leave an impression. In the books that are now part of the Legends material, he proves himself to be one of the remaining Imperial admirals after the debacle of Endor, a brilliant strategist and tactician, a Chiss, an alien in the service of the Empire. To the Imperial idea believes in order and security and is not just stereotypically evil. He values the lives of his subordinates, and if his statements are to be believed, would not want a rebirth of the old Empire, but one that does without the evil of Palpatine and Vader, but restores structure and order to the galaxy. In the books, Thrawn repeatedly defeats the New Republic, proves his military genius, and repeatedly makes logical, understandable tactical decisions, which he mostly attributes to his cultural knowledge of the enemy. His Imperial loyalists prove to be tough, fanatical, and good fighters, almost bringing him victory. And now we come to the Ahsoka series and the portrayal of Thrawn and his Imperials in it. You can tell that Dave Filoni, as the creative mind behind the series, can't get out of his skin. Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars already suffered from the fact that the hero's opponents were mostly just shooting gallery figures who had no chance whatsoever. This is particularly evident in Rebels. Imperial stormtroopers are actually even more useless, stupid and embarrassing than in the main films. The portrayal of the stormtroopers in the Ahsoka series is a stark contrast to the menacing and competent forces that Thrawn commanded in the Legends material. The ineptitude displayed by these troops not only makes for lackluster action sequences, but also diminishes Thrawn's reputation. If these are the soldiers he commands, how can we take him seriously as a formidable adversary? The battle with the Turtle People is a prime example. It's hard to believe that trained soldiers, even in a galaxy far, far away, would be so tactically inept. Their inability to hit slow-moving targets, their complete disregard for basic combat tactics, and their clustering together in open spaces are all rookie mistakes that no trained military force would make. It's almost as if they were deliberately written to be ineffective just to make the heroes look good. It's a missed opportunity for Disney. By not consulting with military experts or at least someone with a basic understanding of combat tactics, they've turned what could have been intense and gripping battle scenes into something that feels more like a child's playtime. The lack of tension and stakes in these fights makes it hard for the audience to stay engaged and invested in the story. We're supposed to believe that Admiral Thrawn's forces are battle-hardened veterans who have been fighting barbarians and other aliens in an alien galaxy for many decades. But they actually fight even worse than normal stormtroopers and behave like absolute beginners. It is no achievement of heroes to defeat such weak opponents. The same thing happens a little later with the TIE fighters that Thrawn sends to destroy Ahsoka's ship. TIE fighter pilots are considered extremely well-trained fighter pilots in canon and legends. TIE fighters are extremely vulnerable to damage, but they are fast and have extremely good lasers that are precise and powerful. And these TIE pilots can't hit and destroy an extremely slow old smuggler ship floating on the ground? Although Thrawn states that he doesn't underestimate the Jedi, at the same time he doesn't seem to want to mobilize enough forces to seriously combat the threat from Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra. What previously didn't work with the snub fighters should suddenly work with 2 TIE pilots? The logic of Thrawn, the supposed genius, is really difficult to follow, but it's actually crystal clear that Thrawn could have sent 10 TIE fighters, and the 3 heroes would have easily destroyed and repelled them all. Fights are supposed to create tension, but if it's clear from the start that none of the main characters can be seriously harmed, there's simply no tension. In Andor and Rogue One, it was completely different. The main characters were in mortal danger. Their fight and effort meant something. They really risked their lives and their opponents were competent. At the beginning, Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati and their mercenaries even made equal opponents. The fact that Skoll was able to defeat Ahsoka and Shin Hati Sabine at least established the appearance of an adequate threat from the villains. But since reuniting with Ezra, the Imperials only seem to exist to be slaughtered. The worst of all is the final battle in the Night Sisters' Tower. Contrary to all military reason, a good 3 dozen stormtroopers stand like a bunch of chickens in a hall, and instead of using the environment for cover, establishing kill corridors, building barricades or overwhelming the Jedi's defenses through concentrated fire superiority. They let themselves beaten like amateurs, and even engage in hand-to-hand combat with the Jedi. Apparently not a single one of them is able to hit a target 5 meters away, even if its back is turned. And last but not least, what is Thrawn's big plan? With an army of undead, more than a few thousand, it shouldn't be able to conquer the galaxy? This isn't the Thrawn we know from Heir to the Empire. Thrawn would not rely primarily on such MacGuffins, but rather on logistics, strategy, and tactics. To be honest, it's not clear to me how Thrawn wants to defeat the New Republic with a band of obvious zombies, and since everyone who knows the new films with Rey and the First Order, we also know that he won't be able to do that. So it's clear that Thrawn won't be successful anyway. Unfortunately, this means that a large part of the tension is lost again because the stakes are simply low. One can't help but get the impression that Disney simply finds it more economically sensible to continue to use popular characters from the Star Wars universe in mediocre shows in order to sell merchandise. The Ahsoka series started strong, but like all of Filoni's works, has weaknesses in portraying credible danger to the heroes. It is precisely the overpowering and competent opponents that turn characters into heroes, because they have to assert themselves against superior forces.